and you guys will probably get asked if you want to stay because the meeting's being recorded. You might have to click something on your screen saying, I know it's being recorded and I still want to stay. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again and we will get going talking about how all the ins and outs and ups and downs of how we are setting up our next cut. And if you haven't heard that term cut, in a way it's the same as a diet, but I kind of feel like, and maybe Julia, I don't know if this comes to mind for you too. I feel like when we call this a cut, this slide kind of really shows you where we're coming from, in that this isn't just a diet that Julia and I are going on to lose weight on the scale and that is going to be happening forever. Instead, this is a phase that we're going through. It's a season of life that we've chosen to be in. I'm trying to move some things around here so we can all see each other better. There we go.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking when you were just saying, yes, it's a season of life that we make a choice to be in. So that's why I like the word phases, so that we're planning our phases throughout the year.
And this phase isn't going to last until Julia and I get to a magic number on the scale. Instead, this diet phase is just going to last as long as we choose for it to last. And we are mindfully choosing a time frame, like a number of weeks, to be in this diet phase, this cut. Really more, well, we'll show you the questions we asked ourselves, but it's really more based on how long do we want to be in this state of really deprivation, of not giving our body enough fuel. And when would it work for our calendar, our schedule, our lifestyle for it to be over? And then we know what we're doing next. And you can see it here in this slide. The next thing we'll do is a reverse diet phase, where we'll take ourselves purposefully back up to enough food. And we will then stay in maintenance for a long, long time. I've been in maintenance for almost 7 months now. Julia, how long have you, Coach Jules, how long do you think you've been in the maintenance phase now?
Well, so now it's about 4 months, I think.
4 months.
Yeah. So, and I just wanted to comment that I think I look at the word diet, it's just a way of eating. It's been always associated with lower calories and losing weight. I think diet is like a way of eating, and we just choose to eat differently during this phase. Mm-hmm. So, which is calorie deficit phase. That makes sense. So it gives a different perspective.
Yeah. Well, the purpose of this phase, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but the purpose of this phase, this diet phase, when we change our diet, so we take in less fuel, is for fat to burn body fat. We had different purposes when we were in maintenance. We were working on building muscle. And so many of you come to this community and say, as a well woman, I want to burn fat and I want to have more lean muscle. And so we want you to see that those two goals happen in different phases. And so we don't want you to always be in the diet phase like we're getting ready to go into, because that's only really for fat burning. If you want to do the muscle building part where you look more lean and have more muscle, you have to let yourself reverse diet out of your diet and go into maintenance, where it's far more ideal for you to build muscle. And some of us even get to go into a bulk phase where we actually eat a surplus of calories to let our bodies build muscle. Some of us need to be in a bulk phase to build muscle. And that's something Coach Jules had a guest in her Facebook business page community share about being in her 50s and being in a bulking phase. So we can refer everyone. And did you get to post that in the Well Women's community yet, Jules?
Yes, I did. I can make that a highlighted post if you'd like for a week or so.
That's a great idea.
There, yes, and that's on my Instagram. Yeah, not Facebook. Mm-hmm.
That would be super fun, because it's really cool to think about that there's a kind of opposite of the diet phase. The diet phase is you're in a deficit and you're just burning fat, not likely to build much muscle. And then its opposite is bulk, when you're on purpose eating surplus of calories so that you're in the perfect state to build muscle.
Yeah, and just let me comment that my guest is 52 and she started weightlifting. I believe she said at 45. And I love one of her comments when she goes from phase to phase that she also plans. She's so adaptable to it that like scale number is not really throwing her off. And she said that she has 2 boxes of clothes, probably just gym clothes. And she just keeps it, okay, when she goes up a little bit and the clothes gets a little bit tighter, she gets that box out and that's what she wears for that time. And then when she goes into the cut phase, like where we are now, she has another box. And that's how she transitions, because this is going to be her second bulk that she's doing it. And yes, she's very very real and refreshing. So yeah, I'd suggest listening to her story.
Okay, so shifting back to talking about being in a cut. Oops, let me scoop. Julia, Coach Jules and I asked ourselves some questions before going into the cut to be sure we're really ready in mind and body and in life phase of life to on purpose be in this fat burning stage. So we set ourselves up for the most success, because this is a time, well, we all know that being on a diet takes time, changing of plans, planning ahead. So we wanted to set ourselves up to be very successful in this stage and have it be worth the time we're going to spend here. So here are some of the kinds of questions we asked ourselves about, is this a good time to cut? And you could ask yourself as well. And we'll go into really a little detail of the why behind these questions. So you already heard Jules and I share how long we have been in maintenance. And this matters because especially as we age, we've noticed and we've read the research that your body needs to know that it is okay to burn the fat it's been storing. It stores fat thinking just in case there's an emergency, we'll have some fuel to tap into. So if you've always been at a diet level with your fuel intake, your body doesn't really trust that it's a good idea to burn fat. But if you spent a while at maintenance, which means what we mean by maintenance is you have been eating as many calories as your body needs to do all the things it wants to do in a day. So on purpose, Julie and I have been I've been eating about 2150 calories a day. Julie is about up to 2300 calories a day. And we notice our body isn't gaining weight, our measurements aren't increasing, and the scale's staying around the same weight. For me, the scale fluctuates from 143 to 145, and that's my maintenance weight right now, depending on all my other body factors make the scale go up and down. It's not going up and down because I'm gaining and losing body fat. So we've been at maintenance. Our bodies now know they're getting enough fuel. So it's an okay time. Our bodies are ready to try a cut, and our bodies will be willing to burn body fat because we've been in maintenance long enough. And a kind of general rule of thumb that we've been sharing and hear other macro coaches share is that you would want to be in maintenance for at least as long as your last cut. And again, that is just a very general rule of thumb. If you've been a lifelong dieter, and so you couldn't really say that you've ever been at maintenance, then you could work with a coach like Jules and I to help you figure out how long should I be at maintenance before I try to do a cut again. And we can even help you figure out, well, how do I start from where I am and get to my maintenance so that in the future I could have a successful cut. So I'm not stuck in this place of being unable to lose weight anymore. You can ask yourself, are you ill or under too much stress right now? Then it's definitely a no. That wouldn't be a good time to ask your body to burn fat. It's not going to work. And you'll just get frustrated and feel like you're the problem, but you're not. It's just that your body isn't going to make the decision to burn fat under those conditions. And like I mentioned earlier, you have to ask yourself if fat loss is your goal. If you'd rather be building muscle and really just want to see some firm, what we call like toned or feel more lean, then the cut isn't necessarily where you want to be. And again, you can work with coaches like Jules and I to figure out, okay, well then how do I get to a phase where muscle building would be my goal and I will see success. I will see stronger muscles and more muscle on my body. And then in your mind and in your life, I remember our coach who we've been training under, Amber, saying, don't do a cut if you don't want to. And at that time, before I had kind of changed my mindset and done more learning, I thought to myself, who would ever want to do a cut? Whoever wants to do this? But now, Coach Jules, maybe you and I mean, do you want to start to do this today?
Yes. Well, and I think it also comes from being in maintenance. It prepares you so well, like mentally and physically, and just giving the nourishment to your body and like working, having this very strict program of building muscles, because it requires a lot of isolation, and this is like something that I've struggled, but I've been playing with finding my middle and sweet spot, because I like movement and I like whole body work, and I like just to really create some interesting moves with it. However, building muscles, some points of it can be like, very boring. So that's why I'm kind of excited to change out the workouts a little bit, just because in the cut, it's very hard to like really build the muscle in the way that you need to increase the weight pretty much constantly. So that's why I'm kind of playing with an idea of changing the workouts a little bit and create that sweet spot where I can still work towards the muscle work, but also create a little bit more metabolic activation, a little bit more functional movement. So yeah, like I feel I'm very ready. Plus, we also have other plans in our plan to kind of meet our life, because I know Amanda will be going on vacation and my birthday will be coming up as well. So we have some interesting case scenario that we're going to be playing with this time. So it feels like nothing is on the way. So why not?
I love it. Yeah. And we'll make sure when we come to the end, we can ask if people have more questions, but I did ask the group to remind us to talk about what is our view of how and why our exercise, our planned exercise, will shift what it could look like from maintenance phase to cut phase. And you touched on it a little bit there, but we can go more in depth in it in a little bit, because I feel like that is something people are starting to wrap their brain around and say, maybe they noticed us doing a lot less cardio or no cardio in maintenance, which is what's been happening. And that is because we want to be able to save that cardio card, or lever is what we'll call it, for when we're on a diet, when we're in a cut, because it can help us burn more body fat. If we had continued to do all kinds of cardio during our maintenance time, our body would have adjusted to that. And then coming into this cut time, Jules and I wouldn't have been able to say, okay, we're going to add on a little bit of cardio to burn some body fat too. We wouldn't have had that option to work as well for us. So we can go more into that in a little bit. But you just heard Julia say, both of us have kind of said, we have plans in place to make this cut fit our schedule. Neither one of us are trying to go to be out of the country for 3 months coming soon, or something where it would just be silly to ask ourselves to be in a cut in this situation we're putting ourselves into. So this fits into our schedule right now. And we both, I think, are thinking about 12 weeks to cut. And I'll show you in our nitty gritty details, I typed them out, have thought through the calories we're going to use and the macros we want. So we are pretty much like have walked ourselves through that piece. And then here's what Jules was mentioning, that we have some plans in place already as well for how are we going to make ourselves a little diet proof here. We're going to protect our body and our mind in advance with these decisions, to use things like refeeding days, calorie cycling, and we'll talk about how that's different than carb cycling, but that's another piece of the puzzle here. Diet breaks. How are we going to use this so that we protect our hormones and metabolism while we're in this phase of not eating enough? These little breaks we're going to give our body from not eating enough are going to help take care of us while we're in the diet phase. Because the diet phase is a time of deprivation, and it is hard on your body. It is a stress on your body, your hormones, and your metabolism. And so we're going to try out these diet fatigue busting tools. The fact that we're also setting a time frame on this diet is a diet fatigue busting tool, and it is protecting our long-term health and metabolism and mindset. So we don't get stuck in the diet phase and stuck in deprivation thinking and shortage consciousness and burn out our metabolisms or slow down our metabolism so much that we then need to eat less just to maintain where we are. So the fact that we have a reverse diet coming to bring us out of this diet phase and that we're planning to go into maintenance, all of those strategies wrap around each other so that we are going to take care of ourselves and burn body fat and be able to enjoy this and have it not become the diet trap that so many of us got stuck in the past, where all of a sudden we can't lose weight anymore. We are tired all the time. We're seeing belly fat coming on and we're not sure why. And that's all just our body saying, you've been in the diet phase too long. You didn't have any plans in place to protect yourself from the diet phase. So Coach Jules did a lot of research on some of these tools we can use to make the diet phase more enjoyable and to protect our body in the diet phase. And so we're trying out this idea of calorie cycling. We are both up for also at some point leveraging perhaps some carb cycling. And a lot of you in the community ask about the difference between these two. So, and then we can touch on what are refeeding days and what is a diet break, because we're going to use those as well. But calorie cycling's big idea is that you can, on purpose, choose to have some days during your diet when you eat your diet calories. And you're also having a day or two, or it could even be more if you chose, on a schedule when you're saying, I'm going to shift back up on those days and eat my maintenance calories. And I'm going to track that whole time. And I'm going to do this not only to make this cut more enjoyable, but actually to really physically benefit my hormones, which hormones drive our metabolism. So when we're protecting our hormones, that all gets slowed down by a diet. When we give them a few days when they're boosted back up, then we come out of the diet feeling better. And I should say, Jules, is there anything you wanted to point out about the calorie cycling concept?
Well, I think that, so the concept came from a study that is called Matador study. And if you want to just Google it, it's going to come up. So they did it a little bit differently, but basically that gave some other options, I guess. And the main idea here, besides what Amanda already mentioned, is to help you stay more adhered to the process, especially when it's 12 weeks. Perhaps if you're doing like a very short cut, maybe 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks, perhaps you don't need to rely on this. But since we are setting up for 12 weeks, which is quite long, it gives us, again, a peace of mind, just like Amanda mentioned, and all of our data collection, which is going to include how we feel, is going to help us decide, instead of white knuckling and ignoring what the body is saying and going into that diet mentality, actually recognizing that and knowing, well, it is an option. So perhaps it is time to start implementing the calorie cycling. So that's how I see it. And I'm excited about trying this out. And of course, like calorie cycling, you want to, like, for example, I know Amanda is going to be strategizing that around her short vacation. So, and that's how you can still live life and still be okay. Or if you have some events on the weekend, that will be good too. Or perhaps again, like for example, if we want to maintain a really hypertrophy type workout, then calorie cycling will come very handy on the days that you schedule your muscle building activities. So just some options.
And to point out the fine difference, because the names sound so similar, but here's what the difference we're saying between calorie cycling and carb cycling. With calorie cycling, we are moving our total calorie intake up and down from the diet level. So for me, that'll be about 1750, and the maintenance level, which is for me about 2150. So Monday, for example, here's how I could set up the calorie cycling. Here's what I think I'm going to do. The first 2 weeks of our cut, I think I'll just stay at my diet calories. And I think Coach Jules is thinking the same thing. Then about 2 weeks in, we're going to turn on the calorie cycling. And so we'll have 5 days at our cut macros. So I'll do for example, maybe I'll try Monday through Friday at 1,750 calories. And then Saturday, Sunday, I will go up to my maintenance calories to refeed or refuel my body and protect my hormones, and eat at the 2150 calories, and do that over and over for the rest of the 12 weeks of our cut. When we're talking about carb cycling, that can look a different way. It can look like you move your calories up and down with carbohydrates adding on or going away and fats adding on or going away. Or it can look how some of you have been used to doing it in the fast way to fat loss, where you aren't changing your calories. You're just changing where they're coming from to add variety to your diet. And I like that idea for those of us who notice in a cut that we really miss our fats. And so you might use that kind of carb cycling where you're always staying at the same diet calories, but having days when more calories from the diet calories come from carbs, and some days when more of those diet calories come from fats. But there's some fine differences between those two strategies. Okay. And the big thing to recognize, and Coach Jules may want to add on this, is that one type of strategy is protecting your long-term wellness, hormones, and metabolism by giving you a break from diet calories, because it's very stressful on your body to always be at diet calories. And that's the one that goes from diet calories to maintenance calories, diet calories to maintenance calories. Whereas that other one that you're used to thinking about if you've been in the faster way to fat loss, that's just like a mental enjoyability tool. There is not much research supporting that using the type of carb cycling they do in the faster way is increasing your fat burning or at all protecting your hormones. So it's important to see that fine difference.
Well, actually going to add something on that. The carb cycling is actually, I think, coming more from the athletic world. So if we really take like athletes, or again, even just average people who, let's say, lift heavy, or they are doing marathon, right? Like endurance type training. So because carbs is a primary fuel for energy. And let's say if you just do a lot of sedentary work and not even meeting like, I don't know, 10,000 steps and just going for 30 minutes, some kind of type of workouts, that's not quite the same as an athlete or a person who lifts heavy or like runs marathons. So that's why they rely on fuel. Otherwise, they're not going to make it. That's why, like, I think for myself, depending on how it goes, because I'm on pretty high calories, I would definitely try to, and I have experienced in the past as I was going into my maintenance. That's why I think like I feel the dumps, so to speak, dumps of energy, and I cannot even like finish my workout halfway. And then I go and get the banana or something, and then I'm like ready to go. So that's why if you are that type of person where you have like really super activities and demands, then that carb cycling would be helpful, just because, and the fat is going to be lower, especially before and after workout, just because the fat is going to slow down that carb absorption. So that's why on the days when you're not so active, you can go back to your normal carb and fat, let's say, or go a little higher fat, whatever, for enjoyability. But on the days that you have some, challenging workouts and you're doing them for quite some time, high on carbs, at least before and after workout, is going to be quite a change. But again, you can kind of like feel your body. But scientifically speaking and research speaking, it's kind of the idea that's been used for that purpose, because again, carbs is energy. I know there is like this whole thing there that women over 40 should be eating less carbs and whatever. But a lot of the research I've read and people comment on that, it again relates to how active you are.
Right.
So that's why we can like use the age for an excuse, but the research does not support that. So research shows that the people just get less active. And most, like, what's that said American diet? Is that the acronym, right?
Yes, the standard American diet.
Yeah, which basically is all carb driven. So that's why if you're not exerting energy and eating a lot of carbs and not so much protein, right, it's going to accumulate somewhere, like in fat, because the energy goes somewhere. And fat is energy, it's a stored energy. So that's why, since you are doing macros and you're probably very much educated on increasing protein, you're already above that said diet, but now you just have to listen to your body, get that feedback, and don't get stuck on the idea carbs are bad, but just kind of see how your body runs on it. So, and that, like, for me was just my experiment, and I did notice the difference for sure. So that's why we'll see how it goes, but I have that tool in my pocket to play with.
And that's, I think, the big idea here is that we wanted you to see that you have so many tools that you can explore and think about using in advance to make a diet mentally and physically more comfortable, more safe, and more effective for you. And you can kind of hear Coach Jules and I saying, like, we're trying this. It's an experiment. We'll see how we feel. We're going to listen to our body. We're going to collect our data, like we taught you to a few weeks ago. And if you need the replay of that presentation, I am happy to share it with you. Just let me know. We taught you a few weeks ago about, as you're using macro tracking in these ways that we're falling in love with, you base what you do on data that's coming from your body. So we'll be checking our scale weight and our measurements and listening to our biofeedback to drive what we do and drive our decisions. I mentioned, and Coach Jules mentioned too, that we're going on a short vacation during spring break, my family and I. And so I wanted to point out this diet break idea. I would say, really, me on my vacation, I'm not necessarily leveraging a diet break to give myself a break from the diet, but I want to point out what this is. Because on my vacation, what I'm actually going to do, I think it's really going to, I would call it more like refeed days. It's only 4 days long. So during my vacation, on purpose, ahead of time, I'm saying to myself, I'm going to set my FitnessPal back up to my maintenance calories while I'm on those 4 days of vacation. And that's a mental support for me, because then I won't feel so stressed out on vacation about tracking macros and trying to be at diet macros. I will be able to enjoy the restaurants we go to because my maintenance macros are pretty high. And I'll also know I'm taking care of myself and not quote unquote losing 4 days while I'm on my diet or anything like that. It's a win-win and a fun, great strategy to keep in mind. If you've got a quick trip or even a longer trip planned during a diet, just set yourself up to your maintenance calories in MyFitnessPal. And if you want to track them there, that will set you up for a much more enjoyable experience. It is just a few short days out of your wonderful, beautiful life and out of your hopefully not too long diet cycle. Now, if you are someone who has 100 pounds to lose and you're choosing to be in long diet phases, and Jules and I's 12 weeks is pretty long, but you might even choose a 14-week diet phase. Then this diet break idea is another diet fatigue busting strategy that can be super supportive of your wellness and your enjoyability and your ability to leverage a longer diet or cut phase. You track during this situation. It's a pre-planned amount of time. So not just like the 2 days, like Jules and I were talking about with the calorie cycling. This would be like a week or 2 weeks when you on purpose move your calories up to your maintenance calories and you track there to give your body and mind a break from the diet routine and have larger portions of food and perhaps even be able to vary the types of food you're eating because they could contain more fats, more calories, essentially. It gives, again, lots of physical benefits to your hormones. So you're going to come out of this diet a more well person, and it would very likely be able to make it a little more enjoyable and doable to be in a longer diet phase. So that's what we mean when we say a diet break.
Yeah, and just like going back to your metaphor, the seasons of life. So it's just like when we prepare for different season changes, like, getting a box of clothes out and just getting excited and all of that. And this is what we are doing. We are training our body. We're training our body to be at a little calorie deficit. We're training our body to be a little bit high. And also, Amanda, right? Coach Amanda, what do you think the ultimate goal is? The ultimate goal is not to plan and be in the cut. The ultimate goal to look good, feel accomplished with the goals you set. So that's why when the life comes, like the vacation or like my birthday, right? We have the strategies, so we don't have to white knuckle it, and we don't have to tighten up, and we don't have to zip up and just like, no, I'm gonna make it and I'm gonna suffer and I'm gonna get my life. The body is gonna react how it's gonna react, and it's not gonna be happy reacting under stress. So that's why sometimes going a little bit longer and having the strategies to keep your sanity and enjoy life, because that's the ultimate goal, right? So it's way better than, and I think that's what we learn in maintenance. It's that abundance mindset. So that's huge. And now we can use this abundance mindset and just kind of play with some other opportunities. Don't you think?
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
I know, I wonder, I'm thinking, is this the next slide I put in? Oh, yes, it is. I'm wondering if everyone at this point is asking themselves this question, because I feel like this is what usually comes up when we talk with other women about this whole idea of using macro tracking in phases. And then even when you're in the diet phase, having little breaks. So I'm sure you're wondering, like, isn't having a day or two of maintenance along the way and having a refeed day on your birthday and having maintenance calories on the vacation going to slow you down? And I say, really, when you think about it, no, not at all. And the science even backs us up on this one, is that what really is slowing us down, and I think we start to recognize this at our age, what's really slowing us down is always being on a diet and never knowing what else to do. That's what slowed your metabolism down, really. And if you're honest with yourself, you can reflect back and say, yeah, it didn't work. I didn't get to my real big end goal, which wasn't just a number on the scale or just to be on a diet. My real end goal was something more like, I want to be happy. I want to feel confident in my body. I want to feel confident at the swimming pool. I want to feel good in my clothes. I want to participate in the activities that my friends and kids and grandkids do. And this approach that we're suggesting is what speeds you up towards that real goal.
Exactly, yes. It's just like driving your car fast and then get stopped by the policeman, right? So, or just taking your chances, what's gonna happen? That's what I sometimes think. Oh my God, I'm driving too fast. If I'm gonna get stopped, I'm not gonna be on time anyway. Plus have all these issues, right? And I think it's important to probably bring metabolic adaptation here.
Yeah.
So that's what Amanda was referring to. So when we're constantly on the diet, our body adapts. Nothing is wrong with it. And we're not doomed or damaged. It's just body does the wonderful thing it does. It helps us adapt and slow down everything and meet us where we are, what we're feeding. So that's why all these phases, they allow the body to recognize, oh, I'm in this phase. But if the body doesn't know the maintenance and you're constantly cutting calories, then it does not recognize like, well, which stage are you in? What do you want to do?
Right.
Right. So yeah, that's all about phases.
All right. Before we can talk through questions or more specifics, I'm trying to see. I'll talk through this because I don't know how well you all can read this on your small screen. But we did want you to see, because so many of you ask, the more specific numbers of where we are coming from, the answers to those questions we asked ourselves. So as you can see, we start with thinking about, well, where were we maintaining? And for me, it was about 2150 to 2200 calories a day. Coach Jules about 2300. And then we think about, and this is what we taught again in the trainings we've done over the past few weeks. We think about, what do I want to cut away from that? What am I willing to live with? What will work for me for my diet numbers? So instead of just going to MyFitnessPal and picking something that claims to have to do with losing a half a pound a week or a pound a week or any of that nonsense, we instead just say, we kind of know that there's a range of cutting from about 10% to 25% of your calories off while you're in a diet. Let's look at what those numbers are. And so I wrote some of them out. Like for me, this is how I was thinking about it. If I cut off 15% of my calories, that's 1850 is what I would use for my diet numbers. If I cut 20% off my calories, I'd be at about 1750, and 25% I'd be about 1630. And I asked myself, which sounds like a place you want to be, Amanda? What are you willing to go for? And none of it was about how fast is that going to get me to lose a pound. That thinking doesn't work. It is put out there, in my opinion, by the diet industry most often for the purpose of getting your attention and getting you to want to sign up for their diet. It is never guaranteed that when you cut XYZ% in MyFitnessPal, if you pick half a pound a week, it does not mean you're going to lose half a pound a week by any means. So that's how we did it instead. We just did the math. And again, if you want to learn how to do that, if you want to see our trainings on how, make sure you ask in the comments in our Well Women's group, or tag me or tag Coach Jules, and we will get you the replay of those trainings we did over the past 4 Mondays with the guides that come with them, so you can really be confident in setting your own macros. And then we thought about, when we take those diet calories, we've chosen them. So I've chosen 1750 and Jules has chosen 2000. Then the next step we taught you to think about was your protein, because it's going to help you keep your muscle mass, which is essential to your wellness. And your body might try to use it for fuel during a diet, and we'd rather that not happen. So if we keep our protein intake high enough, we help protect that muscle mass. And that protein makes us feel full and energized, even in a diet, when we're not really eating enough. So I'm trying to keep my protein at 140 grams right now. In this cut, we'll see how it goes. Jules is thinking 145 to 155 grams of protein. And here's why I say we'll see how it goes. Because we've taught you, when you set your macros for your cut, to trial them, like a test drive for about the first week and see how they feel. My thing I'm wondering is, 140 grams of protein is great, but will that leave me enough calories then to give to fat and carbs for for my ability to tolerate, because I like to have about 20 grams of fat per meal minimum. That leaves me with only about 165 carbs in a day, which is not much. So I'm going to test drive that setup for about a week and see how I feel. And I have some options of moving around. I could take away a little protein, add on some more carbs. I can take some calories from my protein and give them to my carbs. I could add on 100 calories if I'm just plain too hungry and what is the word, like depleted and deprived, like Coach Jules was mentioning, feeling just sheer exhaustion during workouts, just like you can tell your body just isn't going to make it on this little fuel. I also have the option, after I test drive these macros for about a week, of saying, okay, I might bump it up 100 calories. And instead of cutting at 1750, I'll cut at 1850. And then we talked you through how we're going to have in place some diet fatigue solutions in the form of diet break on my vacation and using calorie cycling, where I'm going to go from diet calories to maintenance calories, and maybe some carb cycling along the way to support heavy lifting, or carb cycling along the way to just have more fats in my diet some days and more carbs other days. And we've also taken that step that is vital. And if you work with us as a coach, this is something you will do, of having a start date and an end date on your cut phase. So you don't get stuck in the diet phase, like Coach Jules mentioned earlier, and have metabolic adaptation happen to the extent that your diet calories become your new maintenance calories. We don't want that to happen. And if you're like, wait, what does she mean? What do they mean? Because Jules and I say this a lot. If you stay at your diet calories too long, if I eat 1750 calories too long, my body's going to say, I guess this is all we're going to get. We got to slow everything down around here. Down slows down all my stuff, all my body things it does, so that it can just use 1750 calories a day and not need more. It's a survival mechanism. And then all of a sudden, I can only eat 1750 to maintain. I will no longer lose weight. Does that make sense? That's what we're saying. We want to avoid that metabolic adaptation. And so that's why I have a start date and an end date on this cut. That's why we have diet fatigue solutions too, to help us. And we're, not going to stay here too long. And we know to reverse out of it when we're finished, and then come back into our maintenance and stay at maintenance. And I'm excited for the cut, but I'm also very excited to be at maintenance again very soon.
Yes. So like for me, if you want me to share mine. So I've been pushing my maintenance. So because, first of all, I was collecting the data from the body, and I just kept increasing it. So, and I got it to 2300, and that might have been a little push, but we planned a cut, so I kept it there and kept feeding myself on that. So I played with my macros quite a bit. Again, just depending on like what I learned and how I feel. So the highest protein I played with was like 170 grams. That was a challenge. But I learned from that. That's why I love the maintenance, because it's like this great foundation for learning and playing and figuring things out. I was like, wow, that's so exciting. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I definitely know that I cannot go low on fat because as soon as I go low on fat, I've done that before, my protein goes too. I don't know, it's somehow like I get better response if I keep my fat somewhere. Okay, so like right now at 2000 calories, it's set for 67 grams of fat and 150 grams of protein and carbs for 200 grams. So I feel pretty okay with these numbers, just like looking at them. That's why like the beauty of the maintenance, I'm pushing it a little bit further because your cut can be at a higher number. So that's why I'm like so excited. Okay, I'm just going to be like in the cut at 2000 calories. So when I say it to myself, I'm still like processing it. What? Isn't that possible? But that's the beauty of maintenance. You teach your body, you train your body to go and eat and feed at higher. And I think the big portion of it was my muscle building activity, because I feel like my muscles were just eating it up. and I was increasing it. And also like the way I was feeling it. So that's why I think in the cut, like when Amanda was talking about well, this whole process, like for me, for example, it's important for me to still enjoy my daily activities. Like I love going to the gym and lifting weights. So that's why, but I have tools. That's why I don't want to sacrifice my cut and then feel like, yeah, I will adjust my workouts a little bit, but it's important to me. So that's why I have to like play with those tools into my advantage. And then right now also the spring is coming and then the summer is coming. So I know I'll be more outside and hiking and like I walk every day. So like that's important to me. And if I feel energy depleting, so I have lots of tools to play with, I can adjust my macros, or maybe I need to adjust my calories, or maybe I have to adjust my macros on like when I eat, like for example, carbs, if I feel depleted of energy. So just kind of plan all of this around. And I think what comes up for me here is that when we go into some kind of umbrella diet, we have to fit into their formula. Yeah. So that's why it becomes, we don't learn anything. We don't learn about our body. We don't learn, like they tell us what to do and blah, blah. We go with this group and just do it how everybody else does. Boom, done. And then you suffer or whatever else happens. Here, we have a great opportunity to rebuild the self-trust in the body. And of course, like if it's your first time, yes, like doing it with a coach or with the support of the group is going to be way better because it is a different mindset. And we all have somehow issues with abundance. So that's why here we're really trying to create, well, how can I make it work for me? How can I make it work around my life? How can I make it work so what's important to me? And we find the ways, we find the tools. And of course, doing it together is way funner. So that's what comes up to me. So that's a huge difference of moving away from the diet and really more creating lifestyle. So the lifestyle of habits that can keep us accomplished, feeling accomplished and feeling good and looking good and all that stuff. Do you relate with that, Amanda?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like I came into this for like 3-4 years ago. First, I just wanted someone to tell me what to do to feel better because nothing I did was working anymore. My doctor was like, this is just how it is at 40, you're kind of screwed. So that's the first thing I wanted, was just to feel better. But the second thing I really, really wanted was what you were just describing, which is to feel really empowered in the lifestyle I was living. So I was in charge and I knew what to do and it felt doable. And I feel like that's where I finally come to with this approach to dieting that we are sharing about. And this approach where we reverse out of a diet and we spend time in maintenance. I feel like I finally have that well woman's lifestyle that I always thought in the back of my mind, I wish I could find. And I really doubted myself. Kind of thought I just wasn't the person who would ever have it. I didn't have enough willpower, something, all the old thinking. But it sure feels good to be here now, realizing, oh, we can just learn how to do this macro tracking in phases, learn these diet fatigue busting strategies, and learn how to set and adjust our own macros. And we can have that elusive lifestyle that we want. It is very, very doable. And it is truly possible to have a lifestyle that you enjoy and that gets the results you want.
Yes.
And then you wind up saying, hey, yeah, I'm okay with going into a cut. Like I want to be in this cut. I am doing this on purpose with confidence. So to keep you supported and up to date, Coach Jules and I will do weekly, maybe every other weekly as we get further into things, updates for you. So you can see this process that we're going to go through. And I'm not going to spend time sharing this again because we've taught this before. So again, just ask me if you need the replay of our trainings we've done on how to set and adjust your own macros. But, we'll just be going through this process over the coming weeks. And using our options that we've taught you about shifting calories or cardio or steps. If we aren't seeing the progress we want to see, asking ourselves if we've been consistent, just flowing through so that we get the results that we want. We'll use our data. Here's our little data sheet we'll use each week. Or we actually even have an Excel sheet that we use with our clients. So we'll have a place to keep our data and, just be playing that role of macro scientist and seeing what results we get from this experience.
Yeah, it may be a good idea for us to show our Excel spreadsheet maybe sometime when we have more data collected.
That's a great idea, definitely. And just, give you all this big picture of being able to cut with confidence, that you're taking care of yourself, you are in charge, and you have so many options. You always have another option to get the results that you want.
Yes, there is always another step, which is taking another step and keep forward. But it's also important to recognize if we need to slow down or refeed or stop the process, because we still need to have energy in the tank to get us to that reverse to maintenance. And that might be another month or two. So that's where we're going to see what happens in June.
Yeah. It's fun to think about. Yeah, that'll be good timing for summer. Just good timing. It's so not, it's so nice to feel so empowered and that you're so in charge of how it's going to go. And then it just is so much easier and much more doable in your body and in your mind.
For sure. That's why I'm excited, because we have so many choices to try.
Me too. And I think, before we wrap up, why don't we give everybody all the next, we always say, like, I don't really like to share with you information that we can't in some way give you some more support around than just here in the Well Woman's community, because there's only so far that you can take your progress in a free, huge group like this. Like, this is a wonderful resource, but it is what it is. So you've heard Coach Jules and I started to share that the next place to join us to get really good support in learning all of these things that we're talking to you about, the diet phase, the reverse diet phase, the maintenance phase, the mindset of this is going to take the time it takes and you're worth it, is in a free challenge. And it starts March 21st. And it's the same challenge that we both came out of last year feeling like so empowered, so courageous that we were ready to try reverse dieting, so empowered that we're ready to set our own macros, adjust our own macros, empowered to have been in maintenance. We both stayed in maintenance for many, many months and maintained our results. And you all know that's no small task. And that this challenge is what kind of spurred us on to do all of that. And it is nice that it is free. So it's free 5 days to a Fitter You challenge. And it's conducted by Biceps After Babies. Again, Amber, who you've heard us both mention, who's been our mentor as we've been adding on to our coaching abilities for the past, couple months. To join us in that challenge, there is a link we will share with you. And it will be similar to the timing of these calls we've been doing. I'm almost sure it's even at
it's at 12.
12.
12:30, actually, 12:30, yes.
So there's similar timing to what we've been doing here, 12:30, Monday through Friday. And I know most of you can't be here. You are at work. Amber knows that too. And so her free challenge has a nice page where you can go to. It's not even within Facebook, its own little freestanding website where the replays of the daily challenge trainings will be, and all the support materials, which are phenomenal. And the beauty of this challenge is that it's not just that you're going to go there and go on a diet. It's not what's going to happen. Instead, you're going to get empowered with the mindset tools and, the macro scientist tools. And that's so much more empowering than just showing up to go do 100 push-ups a day for 5 days, or, drink more water for 5 days. So, we would love to have you join us in that challenge. And then we're not going to go into it now so we don't overwhelm you, but those of you who are at least signed up for that challenge, even if you can't be there live, you are going to get the first chance at working with us in Macros 101 with us as your coaches, which has never been done before. In the past, when you did Macros 101, and some of you have, you didn't get to have a coach on your side, but now that is an option. And Coach Jules and I have teamed up to support a special group in Macros 101, which begins April 1st. So,
Amanda, do you want to share your link here in the comments? Like, we have one person who is asking.
Okay.
She signed up through Amber, but I just said, yes, it would be good if she signs up with us. Then she'll be, yes, in the first row at Macros 101.
That's
if she decides to do it. So she's asking for a link. So if you want to post yours.
All right. I will, let me do this. I stopped my sharing. Okay. Let me grab my link. Yes, ma'am. And like Jules said, even if you already signed up for anything through Biceps After Babies, which is phenomenal, you can use one of our links to sign up as well, just to make sure you're in our group with us. And
then you'll be using the same link to sign up for Macros 101 if you decide to go there, but we'll talk about that then. And also during the challenge, Amanda and I will be also coming out here and there or making posts to kind of follow up on the challenge as well. So because our community is a little smaller, a little bit more intimate. So we'll be with you by your side there. Plus we'll be learning and relearning, which is perfect timing for our cut. I feel like we have so much support in place for us that it's excellent timing that Amber is doing that challenge, because it definitely boosts our confidence. Don't you think, Amanda?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because she's an amazing master of mindset shifts. Yeah.
I have to say, when I went into the 5-day challenge last year, I was expecting to be told to do like 100 burpees, drink 50 million gallons of water, whatever, the stuff that challenges do.
Yeah.
But this was not that. And so I know for some people you think, oh, then I don't want to do it. And some people say, ooh, that sounds good. No matter which one you're saying to yourself, I challenge you to at least just hop onto the link. I'll just put it in the comments one more time on Zoom, and we'll make sure we get it in the Facebook group too. I'm afraid if I go put it in the Facebook group right now, my computer is going to give us all this feedback, but I will get it in there.
Well, and also, if you do decide to join Macros 101 afterwards, you will have all the recording of the 5-day challenge there as well. Yeah. So I don't feel like it's going to be lost. So it's going to be in the module. So it's going to be there for you if you decide to do it again or listen when you're walking. That's what I do. I listen to all those things when I walk, if I cannot go live, which sometimes is challenging. Oh, hi, Grace. So yeah, we're just kind of finishing up and wrapping up, Grace, and talking about the challenge. So is it the time for questions, or is there something?
Sure. Yeah. If you have questions on Facebook or Zoom, let us know. Because I know some of these topics, like the difference between calorie cycling and carb cycling, some of it's very nuanced. So we'll
talk about it more. So yeah.
Well, and you'll get to see us doing it. I mean, that's what we said. Hey, if we're going to be doing this cut right now, let's just share all the things with everybody. So you'll see us coming live Mondays, 12:30, probably. We'll see if that time keeps working, but you'll see us coming live and saying, like, here's how it's going. Like, here's what worked. Here's what didn't work. Because I do have to say, I'm skeptical about calorie cycling. I'm not sure that I can pull off going from 1750 calories to 2150 calories from one day to the next. I tried something similar. Michelle, if she's still on, you might remember this. Back in Fast Away, for a while, every once in a while, we would have like a refeed day or a feast day. And it's a challenge, but I'm up for it. And I'm like, when I know the reason I'm doing it too is to protect my hormones and my metabolism and make it so that I keep getting better and better. I'm up for trying, you know.
Well, and also Amanda, since I am noticing a pattern, all or nothing. Do you really have to go to that calorie
Right.
number?
Yeah.
Or do you just increase by 15 or 100 or whatever before you even reach your maintenance, and you'll feel happy and satisfied? Like, right?
Right.
So what's that sweet spot? Because yeah, I can hear you. Yes, you just like been training your body to go down, and then you have to go up, and it's gonna be like next day. Yeah, it's pretty challenging. But what if we don't have to?
Right.
So it's all about just finding that sanity and staying okay with that. So okay, we have a big message here. Okay, and if you guys have any questions, you can either type them, or you can just go ahead and say it, because we are in Zoom and we're live.
I
So if
think Michelle.
yeah, if you read her message, go ahead and comment.
Okay, here's Michelle said, I feel like I've been sticking to my macro calories about half the time on and off for 2 years. I'm thinking doing maintenance for 2 weeks, then doing a 6-week cut, 40 to 50 pounds to lose. I don't want to go into maintenance for a long time. Is this a good plan? I think you can get so much data by doing what you're talking about doing there, Michelle. And it'll be so interesting for you to see when you collect what happens in maintenance. I think that, yeah, as a smart first approach at all of this big idea. And, you know, you can talk to Jules and I some more, and especially if you do macros 101, you'll collect even more data about all the different options you have when you have that thought of, you know, looking that I have 40 to 50 pounds to lose. If I'm going to cut for 8 weeks, do I really have to spend the 8 weeks of maintenance? Is that really what's best for me? What do you think, Coach Jules? What questions would you ask Michelle about that?
Well, I have lots of questions. So it's going to be like this whole coaching, but I would like to know a little bit more, because when you say you've been here for 2 years and you're saying you haven't been really getting results, or have you been getting results? That's where we need to have and ask you a few questions to actually help you understand and see if you had results or not, what kind of results, like what this data that you are putting now provides for you. So, and then from that, we have to ask the questions, you know, what's your goal? What's your life circumstances and things like that. So there's a lot like preliminary questions that could give us a lot more information to also help you out. And of course, like, you know, in 6 weeks, losing 40 to 50 pounds, that's not going to be like super possible. Just setting those realistic expectations. And but again, what could be possible during that time is losing inches. So that's why, like, we've had ladies who haven't been like losing a lot of weight, but they've been losing inches, and that's what we want. Really, like, I'll take inches any day. I'm actually fine with my scale number, whatever, I don't care. But the inches is what I'm after in my cut, really. So like theoretically, your plan could work, again, if you feel good about it. And yes, if you do join Macros 101, there's going to be way more information to help you maybe make a little bit different decision, or a little bit more educated decision, or give you more tools. Like for now, I would suggest, if you do listen to Amber's podcast, which is Biceps After Babies, maybe just try to listen to episodes 9 and 10, where she talks about maintenance. That will give you some information here. And like I know how Amanda talked about this in her presentation, macros is not the magic. And since you've been doing them for 2 years, they might need to be changed, yeah, or adjusted, or again, like, we need more information.
Yeah, and I think Michelle's onto something there about the way you've been leveraging macros in the past is a little different than what we're talking about now. And you're hearing that idea of ending the cut, going to reverse, maintaining, and that's what we learn in Macros 101. And it does change everything. It will change the results you get, and it will change that cheating and going up in calories, because there's nothing wrong with you. You've just gotten diet fatigue. Those macros you were at were diet macros. And it's not fair to ask you to be at them for 2 years without breaks in between and reversing back up to your maintenance in between. It's not fair to your mindset or your body to ask you to keep getting results when you've been at diet macros for all that time. So I love your idea of try maintenance for 2 weeks and let us know, how are you figuring out what you think your maintenance is? Let us know, and then make sure you're collecting your data in maintenance, because with that data you'll collect, you will be able to make so many really smart next decisions about what to do. Is a 6-week cut the next smart step to get the best results, or is it going to be something else? Yeah. So,
well, yes, if you are relating increasing calories is going to increase your weight, this is not reverse to maintenance we're talking about. That's why that's a slow, deliberate process where your weight is not technically going up. And so if you're relating to that, and just to to give you another perspective, there are phases, just like phases in life, phases in the seasons. The goal of maintenance is not to get in and get out. Like, we cannot really approach maintenance with the same mentality that we approach diet, because the goal is different. And the goal is actually to help your body heal, so that down the road, it's going to reward you even more. And yes, there is a possibility also, when you do go into that healing stage and actually train your body to burn more fuel and energy, and that's going to be the presentation that I did on maintenance, that will maybe give you more options there. It actually might even increase your metabolism, which could possibly even shed some fat or weight. I mean, it could happen, but again, it's not the goal. So it's just really somewhat different phases, and they prepare us for different things. You can definitely try it, and it's a good plan, because if your body responds, you can go ahead with it. But if you feel like you're stuck, then you may have to kind of go and actually do the work. That feels scary right now, but with support and with the group and some information, you can do it.
Yeah, it's perfect timing with questions like that, Michelle, because if you try out that free challenge and see what you think, Macros 101 is a really nice place to have all the support and coaching. Yeah, it would be really good timing for you. Wanda asked in Facebook, and Mandy reminded us of something too. Wanda asked about people who have already done Macros 101 and you felt like, okay, I didn't get all of it out of it that I wanted to. I want to do it with some support, that type of thing. What do you have for us? So Coach Jules and I are going to reach out to you. I think I have a pretty good email list of everyone who joined Macros 101 last late summer, early fall. And so we will be in touch with you about how and what we can do together. Okay. So I will be in touch with you, Wanda. Don't you worry. We know it, that we need to talk. And so of course you're always welcome to join Macros 101 again. Like, you would pay and you would be in the group again and just have additional coaching this time. That is an option for you. And then we'll share a few other options with you that we have on the plate. But we won't share them now. So you be watching for my email. We will reach out to you specifically. And then Mandy, thank you for reminding us. I said we would remember to talk about changes in workouts from the maintenance phase and then shifting into the diet phase, and how it would look and why. And so this is a big one. Like, this was a huge change for me that Coach Jules helped me be brave enough to do. So when I came out of cutting and tried to reverse to maintenance, or didn't try, just did, I had to be willing to try out this idea that we were going to do less cardio in reversing and in maintenance. And I would instead focus on strength training. So weight training, like lifting heavy. And that was very hard for me to let go of high intensity interval training, because I really like it. And if you've been in Faster Way with me, we had the Monday, Tuesday high intensity interval training, and then we lifted other days, and it was such a nice routine. But I learned, and my body also told me, that just wasn't giving me the best results anymore. And part of the reason is that you don't need all that cardio and maintenance. You can maintain your results without all the cardio. And in fact, build more muscle if you just do muscle building, because what cardio cardio pulls you this way, try to build muscles goes this way. They don't necessarily like work together for more muscles. So that is what looked different for me when I went into this maintenance phase. I started just lifting 3 days a week, and Coach Jewel started writing workouts for me, my strength training workouts for me, lifting heavy, walking 2 days a week, or 2 long walks, and then like 2 short walks for like rest days. So now looking at going back into a cut, it makes sense. Jules and I would be thinking, our workouts might change a little bit again, because we're in a different macro phase. We're taking in less fuel. We have a different goal. And we want to line up our workouts with our goals, right? So what do you think? What is your perspective or like view of moving from maintenance into this cut, Coach Jules, and expecting like what you've said about like your lifting to change or your workouts to change?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that, but let me backtrack.
Okay.
So this is how it's been explained to me in the books that I read, since I kind of been in the world of strength training and all of that, and kind of learning about muscle building activity. So cardio, yes, like it's more catabolic. So it's just basically kind of breaking down your muscles.
That's it. The fancy science word, catabolic. Cardio, catabolic, cardio. Yeah. Catabolic means what again?
It's breaking down your muscles.
Breaking down your muscles, right? So that's like the big thing I had to learn from Coach Jules. And it worked, you guys. I've built so much more muscle since I've been in maintenance without the HIIT.
Well, plus you were been doing progressive overload and you've been doing it. So it's a commitment. So like muscle building is a commitment. It's a liability. It's like you get a loan to pay off your house. It's a liability. So that's kind of like muscle. You got a loan, you need to keep with that. And it loves food. So there are a few things that cardio is just one of the levers in this whole process. So, and if you guys maybe watched the presentation that I did, maybe not, but just a quick reminder. So like we are talking about TDEE, and that's a total daily energy expenditure. And there is a chart there that I showed from the book that I read. So 70% of it energy goes into just supporting our body. That's that BMR, basal metabolic rate. And our workouts actually contribute about 10% to this total daily energy expenditure. 15%, it's more of the not working out activities, but us moving throughout the day. So that's why, yes, like one way you can increase the energy, because it's all about energy imbalance that we're trying to create here. So one way you can do it by increasing cardio, if you are into cardio. Another way you can do it just by increasing steps and moving more throughout the day. So you don't have to do both, or you can do one day this, one day that. And only you need to do that when you stopped at that plateau level, because 12 weeks is a long time. So that's why we have levers in place. So, and of course, eating protein, that's going to be increasing your thermic effect of food, which is going to be burning the body. I mean, energy, not the body. So, however, here's the beauty of the maintenance. And Michelle, hopefully you will like this one, because this is how I've read. It's been explained, like if we get a man, right, and he eats, let's say 3,000 calories, let's say we have a nice active man, right? So if he's going to go into 15% cut, and you guys do the math, 15% cut of 3,000, it's a lot of calories, right? That he will be going to, right? So percent, that's like 450 calories, okay? So he can drop, and it's pretty, significant number. So, and then he can continue doing his stuff. So if you're a woman and you're coming from 1,500 calories, your 15% is gonna get you to way close to 1,000. So that's why, like, more you stay in maintenance, more you push maintenance. Like in my case, for example, high your cut calories are gonna be. So which means, like, for the guy who is gonna be going down by 450 calories, he might get, you know, quicker results, maybe better results or quicker. And for the lady, your adherence level might not be that good. So that's why, like, from this perspective, keep that in mind, even not concentrating on workouts or cardio, like there's a lot more to that and there are more options. So then the workouts, well, we're gonna be, so like I know Amanda does 3 times a week. So, and since I write your workouts, we're gonna do it for 3 times a week. So like for me, what I'm doing now, so I'm going back to 4 days, not like right now, but in about 2 weeks, I'm gonna finish this block. But in about 2 weeks, I'm actually gonna go into 4 days. I'm gonna try to do the workouts that would take me about 45 minutes, but maybe still an hour, it depends. And what I am gonna plan to create is that the first section of my workout is gonna be like very much compound weightlifting, heavy lifting, which either one is gonna be focusing on the squat type deal, the other one is gonna be focusing on the hip hinge deal. So it's still gonna be that, which would be increased on weight and progressive overload and that stuff. Then there is going to be just a little bit of the isolated, more of a hypertrophy type deal. And that's going to be probably just for like arms. And then the other block is going to be concentrated more on functional type movement, which is not necessarily designed to be progressively overload because there is a lot going on there. They're going to be a little bit more dynamic and more metabolically active. You're going to be working like a lot of muscles and making them more propulsive and active. So which is going to be increasing that cardio type catabolic kind of activity. And then since I'm doing it 4 days, 2 days, I'm going to be finishing with like a 15, maybe 10-minute interval training, which is going to be, again, the movements that I love. This is just because they're not boring. And I will be making them like 30-second, 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 30-second to 60-second break. And again, just like do them quickly and keep my heart rate still at about like 120, 130, even during the break time. So that's what kind of like increases, because I hate cardio. So like I won't do cardio for an hour or 30 minutes. That's why for me, cardio is in and out, done. And then I'll just go for a walk. So that's why it's going to be like 10 minutes, very much timed, kind of, again, pay attention to my energy and whatever breathing, and just do them again, 30-second, 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 quick break. And I will probably do that for 4 sets of that, or maybe start at 3 and go to 4 or whatever. So yeah, just kind of like increasing that, cardiovascular type activity, because again, the muscle building is going to be my liability and it's going to burn the energy after I'm done working out. The cardio is just going to give you that real quick boost. And after that, you're done with it. That's why, to me, if I'm looking at it like investing money, you know, that's not going to be where I would be investing money, a lot of percentage of the money. Because it's not going to give me that compound effect that I want. That makes sense. Okay. Yes. Bye, Michelle. Does that make sense? Kind of, sort of. It's going to be quite variety, I suppose.
And I think, yeah, it makes sense that the big idea is cardio more is about fat burning and is for the cut phase. There's strength training for building muscle is more for maintenance time. And
so yeah, and this is going to be more of like supporting the muscle building, but with a little different flair around it. Yeah.
So there's ways to still do moves that maintain muscle during a cut, and have them be more like metabolic is the word I hear you use, which like, so you feel like it's also a little bit of cardio.
Yeah, so it's going to be, challenging a little bit more cardiovascular part, but also the functional movements that require a lot more, plus a lot more brain activity, and brain is going to burn energy too. That's why the way I like them and the way I design them, like I cannot do them for an hour because it's either my brain is going to go like, I'm done thinking all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I know you've done some of my workouts, so you know what they are. That's why this very quick burst for the brain, burst for the muscles and the movements, because they prepare us for a little bit more active type life. And it's good to use those, parts of the body for that kind of stuff, because even though jumping is not required, but maybe one day you'll be jumping with your grandparents. Grandparents, grandkids.
That'd be awesome. I would love that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Then you'll
be like standing there and looking and like think, okay, how do I jump?
right.
So
One more big idea. But I touched on this earlier, but since Mandy specifically asked, so this is the perfect, we can even like section out this part of the training for those of you who wanted to hear more about exercise and how it looks different in a cut versus maintenance. The idea that we kind of leverage, save our cardio, use our cardio more in the cut, and then ease up on it and let it be something different that we don't use in reverse and in maintenance, because then we have more tools to use in the cut. Jules kind of mentioned, like in a cut, we are cutting calories, right? But say Jules and I cut these calories and we didn't get results, we might want to have something else to try to say, oh, okay, so if I don't want to cut any lower on calories, but I want to do something else to burn some fat during this cut, we could add on an hour of cardio a week as another lever to pull in a cut.
That's a very important point. 1 hour a week. That's why, like, 10, 15
total
here and there. Yes.
Not an hour more a day or anything.
No.
Or we teach our clients, and you guys heard this when we taught you how to adjust your macros with confidence, or you can add on 2,500 more steps a day. So that's a form of exercise that's not high intensity cardio or anything. It's low intensity cardio. But the big idea being that don't overdose on your cardio in maintenance. Save it as a lever to pull to burn fat in a diet phase, just so you have more options for yourself and ultimately are taking more loving care of your body in the big picture, because then you're not over exercising and, burning out your hormones unnecessarily.
Well, yes, I think that's a very important point you made, not over exercising. And this is one way you can test yourself if you are over exercising, because again, remember that TDEE, I keep referring to that. So still you're being active throughout the day is going to give you more in this process than just that burst of workout, whatever you do. Yeah. So from that perspective, and one test you can do, so let's say you did your workout, cardio, lifting, whatever you do, and then you over-exercised. Like I know I've done that before. Like I cannot move, like I cannot go for a walk. I cannot even move throughout the house. I was like, ooh, I just overdid that. So, and that's, to me, I know, like, okay, because when I was doing it at the gym, I was like, I was fine. The next day I wake up, I was like, oh my God, I cannot move. And it's not like it hurts or whatever. It's just like I overdid it. So I got too courageous or whatever. And that's a very important point. So because you just lost like your whole activity for the day due to the workout that was yesterday that you just went and nailed it. So that's just something to learn.
Yeah. So I think those are the biggest points about exercise and using them and using it in different ways in a cut phase versus a maintenance phase, so that again, you get to your really big goal of feeling good and being happy with the results you're getting, as well as with the life that you are living.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any more questions we didn't see yet in Facebook. I don't see any new ones in Zoom.
Well, and you guys are troopers if you're sticking with us for more than an hour now. We went over because we do like to talk.
All right. I think, why don't we do this? Why don't we wrap up? Mandy asked some specific questions about reversing. But that won't really fall into what we were talking about for the cut here. So
why don't we watch my replay? Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah. Why don't we wrap up for today? And again, just invite you to join us in the next step of working really purposefully, more than just in a big group where we can't get your answers really specifically to you. By joining us in that 5 days to a fitter you challenge that's run by Biceps After Babies. Coach Jules and I will be right there with you at the challenge, supporting everybody. And it leads into Macros 101, which is a wonderful 8-week experience where you could work with both of us supporting you as your coach as well. So phenomenal next steps that you can be taking with us to get all these questions answered and more and more and more and more.
Yeah, so that phase is going to be a little bit more structured.
And then, I mean, really, that's next Monday. That starts next Monday. So we could see you next Monday at 12:30. It will just not be here in the Well Women's community. It will be through a different Zoom link if you are in the 5 days to a fitter you challenge. And it is free. It cannot hurt to register. Go ahead and register and see, if it works into your schedule and if it's a next step for you. I just put the link in Zoom and I'll put it one more time on Facebook. And then maybe we'll see you next Monday.
Yes. Thank you, ladies.
All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a fantastic week, and we will keep you up to date on our cut.
Yeah.
All right.